Fluidum is about a world where everyone starts out with two genders, and on their 20th birthday, they must choose one. Most members of society naturally gravitate towards one or the other, but the main character, Jessie, dreads this decision because they're fluid. And there's just so many other ways this goes wrong, like people being coerced to pick a gender for financial reasons, like Jessie's friend Milo, or just regretting their decision, like the professor. I was really excited about this premise because it's so cool, but I think the plot falls a bit short. Fluidum, kind of like Homestuck, which is another comic I really like, relies more on character than plot. The main conflict of Fluidum is that there's a possible cure being created by Dr. Alders, covered up by the government, and some weird cult thing? I don't know. But in my opinion, the most enjoyable part is the relationship drama. Jessie's girlfriend Rachel has determined she's a girl, but her Maudie, which is a combination of mommy and daddy, forces her to switch to her male body. And it's revealed later that this person was forced to choose their male body and are traumatized. This gets really bad later on, with the climax being Rachel committing suicide with her male body, so she'll only have the female one left. There's some unexplained effects that the bodies have on each other, like Letty the professor getting a scar on her body in episode 24, before the choice is made. And there's pretty much a death scare, but she lives. Anyway, there's clearly tension between Jessie and Rachel because they have opposite issues. Rachel has made her choice, and she can't wait until she doesn't need to be forced into the body anymore, but Jessie hasn't. Jessie meets influencer Lake, whose brand is pretty much being undecided like them, and meets them at their birthday party, which is weirdly extravagant for college. At the party, they get into an argument with Lake about whether they're really undecided or just doing it for their fancy brand. Then their best friend dares them to kiss Lake. Also, their girlfriend isn't at their birthday party, but their girlfriend shows up and they hash it out. They agree to have an open relationship, so this means Jessie gets to try both bodies sexually. They decide to make a pros/cons list, but the genders keep tying. Sometimes they get perceived as a creep in their male body, but certain partners prefer that body. Lake is low-key stalking Jessie because they have heterochromia, which makes them a good research subject for the great-grandchild of Alders, who is a scientist finding a way for others to keep both bodies past 20. And they were able to devise a cure for mice, which also have two bodies? Does everything with genders in the universe, or sexes, have two bodies? What does this expand to? There's some cool world building here, like members of a non-binary retreat treating the choice as the day part of them died, and phantom limb symptoms for people who are able to still feel parts of their missing body. Basically, everything leads up to saying that Rachel killing her male body will result in real consequences, and that's what the comic foreshadows many, many times. But anyway, Rachel drives the car off a cliff into the sea with her male body, and her female body's lungs fill with water. When they're in the hospital, Lake notifies Jessie that they have found Alder's great-grandchild. Jessie and Lake go to meet them while Milo stays with Rachel. Of course, they get together during this, but Lake and Milo are poly as well, so it's okay, I think. They do it multiple times in multiple bodies. Carol, the child of Alders, reveals that they were able to obey the choice for their child, Jens. They show this in a really cool way because Jessie meets Jens and knows they're clearly older than 20, but then realizes Jens has switched during a conversation. Letty, Jessie's professor, gets angry at Carol for being so secretive and decides to expose her. After this, Jens the child is kidnapped by the Symposium, which is a secret world government like the Illuminati, and they force Carol to burn all their research. They do what they want, but even after that, they decide to destroy one of Jen's bodies, so it seems like no one ever found a cure. The expressions here are really well drawn. But before they can do that, Jessie starts streaming and threatens to tell everyone a cure has been found. They recognize a symbol carved on Jen's thigh that matches some influencer cult in Sweden. This all takes place in England, by the way, which explains why they can just shimmy over to other countries like in a day. When they get to the cult, the members are actually understanding and say they can use Jens's other body to pinpoint the location of the kidnapped one. They then do various cult activities like quickly switching between the bodies until it feels like they're both at the same time. It's kind of implied that the twins are two bodies of the same person, but this is a fake out to make one of their death scenes later scarier. Jessie is supposedly the heterochromatic subject of a prophecy given to the cult by a larger faction, and the cult tries to sacrifice them, but then they have a vote and decide not to. One of the twins is shot by an unknown assailant. The guillotine malfunctions, and Letty loses their leg to save Jessie. So that's another fake out. I'm not sure what the point is for the story other than to make the reader scared that someone is going to permanently die or leave them on a cliffhanger. Anyway, the twins apologize and get replaced by newer leaders. They also track down Jens, who is safe in another faction of the Illuminati, the Symposium, and they're told to go to Maruna, which is a utopian society ruled by women where men are considered lesser citizens. Since Jesse and Lake haven't yet made their choice, they're forced to use their female bodies, and their male bodies get detained. Jesse's thingy from the cult unlocks a secret stairway, which turns out to lead to another choice researcher, Arthur, who explains that everything has two bodies, but the government invented the choice to reduce population and save resources, and they forced it on animals too. That explains the mice. The symposium is looking for Rachel's male body, which is actually still alive somehow. Jaden explains to Milo that they used to be a star until being teenage pregnant with Rachel ruined their female body, according to the industry. They tried to kill their male body, but ended up rescued and in a coma, and their management falsified their will to choose the male body for them during their 20th birthday. Super dark. Thanks to this conversation, though, Milo decides it's not worth it to sacrifice their choice for their career. Rachel's other parent also comes to help out, and they reveal that they never wanted kids because their parent was pregnant with them during the choice, and switching bodies kills the infant inside. That's also really dark. So the parent was stuck with being female and abused their child. In the end, they all agree that they love Rachel and want to be there for her. Arthur teleports Lake and Jesse to Hong Kong, where Jens is being held, in exchange for working together with Carol. In Hong Kong, they are apparently forced to make the choice at age 5. Jesse used to live there, but of course was unable to make the choice when their father wanted them to, and their other parent took them away. Jesse's father, who is in the symposium in Hong Kong, gets a redemption arc where he explains he did that because it was easier for the child to accept one gender than be fluid all their lives, and then feel like they have more to lose. He then brings Lake and Jesse to Jens, who reveals that they're fine. They had an enemies to lovers relationship with one of the kidnappers that was actually on the good side, and carved the cult symbol into their leg to lead Lake and Jesse there. Then Jens escaped to Hong Kong and decided to work with the good side, aka the Haven, to thank their rescuer. Lake suddenly gets memories of the Haven's guide being their parent. Apparently, they split due to the guide caring more about leading the rebellion against the main symposium than the child, and their mother was captured by the symposium and killed, but not before injecting Lake with amnesia serum. Despite this, Lake decides to enjoy their last few days of life before the choice, especially after seeing a fan of theirs who says, "Thanks to you, I know no matter what body I'm in, I'll still be me." Lake miraculously achieves fluidity after the 21st birthday passes, and this turns out to be because the serum Lake was injected with contained Jesse's heterochromia DNA, allowing them to circumvent the choice. They're then tracked down by the evil faction of the symposium, who has kidnapped the professor, a bunch of cult members, and Rachel. They escape prison and start streaming as the leader follows them. This comic uses social media as a weapon quite often. There's also this really badass double body battle, where the leader is threatening Jesse's body with a knife and causing the current body to bleed. But then when the clock strikes 12, Jesse circumvents the choice live on stream, and everyone witnesses the truth. The leader gets jailed for forcing the choice onto everyone, and a cure is developed and administered to everyone, even people who have already made the choice, unless their body died previously. It's also cool that after receiving the cure, you get 2 eye colors. Milo ends up getting the cure and keeping both their bodies and their career. There's kind of a couple swap that goes undiscussed, which is one of the biggest complaints in the finale episode comments, but I guess they had to rush it, according to the author's note on the ending. I actually think the final battle was pretty good, but it's unfortunate the comic didn't have enough time to go into the relationships, and I thought the redemptions of the parent figures were a bit rushed, but it's nice to see them with their own backstories. We never see Jens reunited with their lover, unless the implication is that they straight up died. Now, this is one of those featured webtoons. I'm only reviewing the featured ones because I'm already reading so many, but it used to be posted on Canvas, which is where on Webtoons anyone can post, not just the paid creators. So before that, Fluidum had a bunch of different artists, and there were a lot of different art styles. There's also pretty much a complete rewrite. So Jesse and Lake start out as enemies in the original version too, but it happens more organically, with them meeting Lake at a bar. And another difference is that in the original, Rachel dumps them from the jump, seemingly out of nowhere. Lake comments that these things don't usually happen out of nowhere, and of course, that hurts Jesse, who is still smarting from the breakup. I don't know why the creator decided to drag out the relationship of Jesse and Rachel in the final webtoon, unless it was for more drama. But they have Rachel try to get them back in the original, which I think is drama enough. Anyway, Jesse and Lake move really fast in the original, but I think it goes to show that they had more of an instant connection. There's also more relatable moments, such as Lake wondering whether they should confess, or Jesse looking through Lake's Instagram and seeing them with someone else. This person shows up later as Letty, an older woman who was previously in relations with Lake, as shown by a giant nude painting of them. Milo, on the other hand, goes too hard and loses their sports scholarship after being pressured to choose based on their athletic career. Since everyone's been established to have issues with the choice, Lake and Jesse decide to go on a road trip to find Alders, and Milo gets invited. And then, Milo invites Rachel, for the drama. And right as they start that journey, the comic got picked up by Webtoons, and the current version was made. It's clear they made Letty go from creepy older woman to the professor, and they make her the reason they know about elders, which maybe makes more sense than Lake just magically knowing. And also, Milo was dating Lake originally? I personally give this series a 6.5 out of 10, but I saw many commenting that they wished having two bodies was real, and they're happy to see Webtoon showing this, which I feel is more important than the plot making complete sense. So if you feel that way too, I definitely recommend you give it a read. Thanks for watching!